This is Josh from Breezy Billows, and today we're gonna talk about an interesting question that somebody at the Facebook group Accordion Players asked. It was about how you can develop the skill of playing without looking at your keyboard. So that is something that I started to work on probably about a year ago, because I used to look at the keyboard all the time, and now I've forced myself to learn songs and play songs without looking at the keyboard. So in the end, it's just about actually doing it and developing like other senses other than your vision, in order to keep track of like where your fingers are and how they need to move around. So I'm currently learning Cantina Band from Star Wars. This is a book that I got from a local accordion shop where they have songs from the Star Wars arranged for accordion. And these are pretty good arrangements, so I'm learning to play Cantina Band. And this song is actually something that does have like the right hand jumping around a lot. If you actually look at what's going on here, so it moves around a lot, so it's not definitely not staying in one position. And the left hand is also like pretty busy at this time. So this is something that I found pretty challenging to learn, and I'm still working on it. So I thought this is a good time to actually show how I'm able to play this and how I can make preparations to make it easier to play everything without actually looking at the keyboard. So let me just show one of my repetitions. I'm doing repetitions right now, so I can play this part of the song that I'm practicing, and then we'll talk about some of the harder sections on the right hand and how I'm working it out so that I can play it without looking at the keyboard. So that's as far as I've gone with respect to this song. And as you can see, the right hand moves around a lot in some sections of the song. And how am I tackling this? So the first thing we're gonna look at is this section right here. So I have my fingers are playing like the third interval of a third with B flat and D, and then D and F, and then we play F and A, F sharp, and then the interval of the third moves on, and then it changes to F sharp and C. So that's like a bigger interval, right? That's like a, is that a fifth? No, I don't, that's not a fifth, that's like a diminished fifth. And then it keeps going on, and it moves to G and E flat, and then comes back down to F natural and D, and then E and G sharp, and then E and A. And then we finish that with an interval of a sixth with F and the lower A. So when I first started working on this, it was actually daunting, to be honest. It took me a lot of time to be able to do this a little bit with like fewer mistakes, so that I could do it consistently with the same fingering. So step number one, work out your fingerings. So always play with the same fingers from start to end. You're always going to use the same fingers for each note in the melody. So let's say, for example, if I'm playing like the B flat and the F, I always use the same two fingers for this when I reach this section of the song. And when I move on to here, I'm going to use the same finger. And these fingers also need to like make sense. There are two reasons why we want to do this. It's because number one, we want to achieve consistency. You don't want to think about like which finger you have to use when you're actually playing it. Instead of that, you already have it worked out and you practice it the same way and it becomes consistent. And number two is that you have to mark the fingers in which it actually makes it easier to navigate the song. We don't want to, like, for example, if I'm playing like these two half notes here in this measure, so I have to play. So that's one way to do it. I can use like fingers 1 and 2 here and 2 and 3 here. And then, or you could also do this. Or you could do, and then 2 and 5 here. So there are a lot of options. So how do you decide like which one to use? And it depends on like what's coming up next. So for example, this is how I play this section of the song. Sorry. I think something like that. So the reason I choose to do that is because is to make the transitions easier. So for example, if I'm playing it like this, if let's say I'm using fingers 3 and 5 to start the first one, and I have to play the next D and F again, so I have to like reset my fingers. So instead of that, I choose to do it differently. So let's see how I do this. So I do. So how do I learn to play this without looking at the keyboard? So sometimes it's pretty easy, right? So you don't really move your hands and you can feel the intervals themselves. So I'm playing these two, and the next note I'm gonna play is these two. This is pretty straightforward. But after that, I have to play F and A, and then I just keep moving up the keyboard, and up the keyboard is like this way, right? Because you're holding your keyboard vertically. So, and then I'm moving my thumb and second finger to here. So these are times that you would wanna like look at it, right? Because I'm using these two fingers here, and I have to put my thumb on F. So you might want to like peek down and find F and put your thumb there. But how do you avoid that? So a lot of times I use an existing finger as a reference for the new finger. So if I'm playing like this, and I'm already playing this F, and that's where my thumb needs to go. So I mentally focus on where my fourth finger is, and that's where my thumb needs to go. And sometimes what I can do is like, right when I let go of it, I kind of do this pinching motion where I bring my thumb to where the fourth finger is, and I don't have to look for that. So if you look at this, I start here and I go here, and my thumb needs to go to the F. So right when I'm gonna let go of the F with the fourth finger, I bring my thumb already there, and then it becomes easier to do this without having to look. And by doing this, you're actually training to make your thumb go to the F correctly every time you repeat this. So you're not like shooting a darkness and you have a point of reference. And by doing that, you're training your thumb to jump the right interval. And after a while, you might not even want to use that finger as a reference, and your thumb would automatically start jumping. So this is how I do that. So that's like really, really slow once you get used to it. And then the next one is not that hard. I just need to move my thumb to like F sharp. I can just feel it from F to F sharp. And my fourth finger is already on C, which is what I need to play. And then I just keep moving up like this. So all of this is like pretty easy. If you play it slowly, you're mostly moving like one or two keys up or down. So you can sense that by like feeling the edge between the two keys. So until then, this is like pretty easy. So we do all of this is easy, and then I drop my thumb back to E and G sharp. So whatever I'm gonna do next is like kind of hard, because I have my fingers at E and A, but the next note is F and a lower A. So that's like I don't have a lot of reference to do this, right? So you might want to look to do that, but how do we avoid that? So if you actually look at this, my thumb's on E and my third finger is on A. So my thumb has to move down all the way to the lower A, and then my second finger has to come to A. So I use this as a reference. So my thumb is on E and my index has to come to A. So I use my thumb as a reference. I have to put my index right next to where my thumb is, and then my thumb has to move all the way down to A, like this. And this is something that you gotta train yourself, like finding different intervals. So this is an interval of a sixth. So how do you play an interval of a sixth with two fingers? So you just practice that slowly and you accomplish it. So if when I'm practicing it slowly, this is how it looks like. I made a mistake there, and to actually show you that I'm not looking at the keyboard, let's put my face in there so I'm not cheating. So. Yeah, so that's how it works. It's like one tiny step at a time. You figure out a way to get consistent fingering so that your repetitions are actually right. So if you're shooting at the dark and you don't know where your hands are and where it's gonna go, without any point of references, you're gonna make mistakes when you try to play without looking, and that's gonna build a lot of frustration. But with like consistent fingering and using your existing fingers that are already on a particular note as a point of reference, and thinking about like where the next finger need to go with respect to a finger that you already know. Like if I know that my second finger is already on A and my third finger needs to go to say C. So you have that point of reference of the existing finger, and you think about where that finger is, and you try to visualize that without looking at the keyboard. And that's how I do it. I'm not sure if there are like other better methods out there, but I've been trying to use a method like this for the last year or so, and I am pretty happy with how I've been able to learn my songs without having to look at the keyboard. So let me know if you have like any other ideas on like how you could play without looking at the keyboard.